If this is a book haul video, you should keep that in with the guns. It is Haul Wars, you know?
Yeah, that's true. Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. It's Saturday and I don't usually post videos on Saturday, but it's been a weird Saturday and frankly it's been a weird week too. And I didn't post a video on Thursday, much to the chagrin of my millions and millions of fans. So I thought I would make up for it by making a video today. It was a very impromptu book haul that I went on. I've been going on and off to my local used bookstore for, I don't know, the last 2 weeks. The last time I posted a book haul, I think, was about 2 weeks ago. And it has not been turning up a bunch of things, which is totally normal. Sometimes my local used bookstore will run a little bit dry for me in terms of like their inventory. You know, it comes and goes. You know, it comes. A large volume of books will come in for whatever reason, and then a lot of them will come out, and there won't be a bunch of new books to kind of like fill in the empty spaces, and then all of a sudden it'll get filled in. And anyway, you have to learn to live with it. So over the last couple of days, I haven't really found anything, but I went in today on a whim and found a ton of things. And in addition to that, just the day before, I went to Barnes & Noble, which I never do, but I went to Barnes & Noble and found myself buying 2 books. New books from Barnes & Noble. Again, I don't really ever do that, but I was in the area and I found myself going in there because I've been looking forward to reading a couple of new releases, and I thought, you know what, maybe Barnes & Noble will have them there. And they had one, and I couldn't stop myself from buying it, and as I was making my way to the register, I snagged something else on the way up there too. So we've got a pretty large pile of books in front of us. Most of them come from my local used bookstore, but 2 of them I'll save for last. Those came from Barnes & Noble. And the first one right at the top here is Matthew Lewis's The Monk. It's in this Penguin Classic paperback. I was very happy to find this, and I will probably start reading this tonight if I'm going to be honest, because even though it's not on my TBR, you know, sometimes you can't help yourself, and I was so glad to find this. I actually don't know if I'm gonna like this or not, but I'm still excited to read it anyway because it is such an interesting book, and it is a cool thing to read, I think. So I'm going to read it anyway, and we'll see. I'm excited to see if this is something that I really enjoy or not. So that's anyway, rambling. We've got The Shield of Achilles by Philip Bobbitt. I actually already own a softcover of this book, but I was happy to see the original hardcover that this came out in. Really quite stunning. It's a beautiful hardcover for, I don't know, $6, $7 that I got it. It was a steal. This is not a $7 book at all. And it really does justice in this nice hardcover to the size of the book. It is funny how condensed that paperback of this book is. It's very large. This clocks in at about 1,000 pages. I've not read it yet. I'm looking forward to doing so, but it's going to take a lot of time and commitment for me to do so. And when I do, I'm going to read it from this hardcover. So I was very happy to find that. That's a great find. Then we've got a biography. This is a biography of John James, let me see if I can do this right, Oddman. Oddman. I think it's Oddman. But the subtitle there is The Making of an American, and this is written by Richard Rhodes. John James Oddman was an ornithologist, and you can see here on the cover he painted pictures of birds, very famous and very good pictures of birds. He was a natural historian. As you know, I'm a fan of natural history, or at least I've been getting into it a lot recently. So when I saw this biography, I became immediately interested in it and decided to pick it up. It was funny because in a different section of the store, they actually had the hardcover version of this. I don't know how that happened, but this softcover I liked more, and it was in better condition. It's nice and floppy, and it's got a bunch of artwork in it, black and white, but nevertheless, it's filled with it. This is a very nice package. I'm looking forward to reading this. I don't think that this will be an easy sell to a larger demographic of people, but I'm fascinated. I'm fascinated by this. I'm hoping it's going to be great. The next one is a fun book put out by Norton. This is Super Volcanoes. Just check out that cover. I think that cover speaks for itself. It's beautiful. Super Volcanoes, what they reveal about Earth and the worlds beyond, by Robin George Andrews. Let's read the inside flap, shall we? An exhilarating, time-traveling journey to the solar system's strangest and most awe-inspiring volcanoes. Volcanoes are capable of acts of pyrotechnical prowess verging on magic. They spout black magma, more fluid than water, create shimmering cities of glass at the bottom of the ocean, and frozen lakes of lava on the moon, and can even tip entire planets over. Between lava that melts and reforms the landscape, the noxious volcanic gases that poison the atmosphere, volcanoes have threatened life on Earth countless times in our planet's history. Yet despite their reputation for destruction, volcanoes are inseparable from the creation of our planet. That goes on from there. How lovely. I'm looking forward to reading this. I think it'll be a fun read. It is definitely something that I've gotten a lot of fun out of reading in the past. You know, just Norton puts these books out. They did the Rocks Don't Lie that I talked about before, and you know, some of these books on geology and natural history and stuff like that I find really fun. So, speaking of another book that I judge by its cover, this is a book I know nothing about. This is a novel, of all things. Above the Salt by Catherine Vaz. Don't know the author, don't know the book, but it was on clearance, and it's got birds on the cover, and you know I love myself some good birds. It says here, an irresistible and sweeping love story that follows two Portuguese refugees who flee religious violence and reignite their budding romance in Civil War America. John Alves, son of a Presbyterian martyr on the island of Madeira, spends his childhood in poverty when he meets Mary Freitas. A spark kindles a lasting bond, but soon their families must flee from the blood tide of unrest between Catholics and Protestants. And anything talking about Catholics and Protestants fighting each other touches my Reformation-loving heart. So we'll see if this is good. If it isn't, no harm, no foul. If it is, that's awesome. Maybe I'll discover a new favorite. I don't know. Next, this might be the find of the day. I don't know. I love this book. I love that I found this. This is Peter Ackroyd's biography of Thomas More, The Life of Thomas More. I've never read Peter Ackroyd before, and of all the Peter Ackroyd that I wanted to start with, this is the one I wanted to start with the most. And I saw it, and I'm very glad that I found it, and I'm very excited to read it. Not only because I'm interested in reading Peter Ackroyd, but also because I am very interested in the figure of Thomas More. Fascinating guy, fascinating life, ends up being canonized a saint, which is crazy. Wrote Utopia, which is a word that we all know and we all use, whether we trace it back to him or not, or whether we know to trace it back to him or not. Fascinating guy, friend of Erasmus, and if you've followed my channel for a while, you know that I'm a fan of Erasmus. So this was a great find, and I was very glad to see it in my local used bookstore for a song. So I snatched it up right away. Okay, and now we've got our two books from Barnes & Noble. The first is by Lyndall Roper. It's Summer of Fire and Blood, and I actually made a video like right at the beginning of this channel where I talked about some upcoming releases that I was really looking forward to reading, and this was one of them. I've been looking forward to reading this for a long time, ever since I read about the German Peasants' War in relation to what else? But the Reformation. The German Peasants' War happens in about 1524, and obviously that's firmly within Reformation time. Martin Luther is alive, he's kicking, and he's writing pamphlets, and he is embarrassing himself. At least in regards to the Peasant War, where we see a particularly low moment for Martin Luther, where he calls for the deaths of the people who are for the peasants who are fighting for their survival, basically, and it all ends in a horrible bloodbath. So this is going to be a fascinating book. I have no doubt about it. Lyndall Roper has written about Martin Luther before. She's written about Reformation Germany, and she is definitely the right person to write this book. So I am so excited to read this, and I will be putting it on probably next month's TBR for sure. If I can avoid reading it this month, I will. And then finally, gosh, this is a great find. I didn't know of this book's existence, but I saw it on the shelves and immediately picked it up. It's from my beloved Princeton University Press, and it's called Lost Enlightenment. Central Asia's Golden Age from the Arab Conquest to Tamerlane by S. Frederick Starr. And I'll read you the back here. In this sweeping and richly illustrated history, S. Frederick Starr tells the fascinating but largely unknown story of Central Asia's medieval Enlightenment. Through the eventful lives and astonishing accomplishments of its greatest minds, remarkable figures who built a bridge to the modern world. Between the years 800 and 1200, Central Asia led the world in trade and economic development, the size and sophistication of its cities, the refinement of its arts, and above all, the advancement of knowledge in many fields. Lost Enlightenment chronicles this forgotten age of achievement, seeks to explain its rise, and explores the competing theories about the cause of its eventual demise. Informed by the latest scholarship, yet written in a lively and accessible style, this is a book that will surprise general readers and specialists alike. Awesome. Great. And yes, I have read things that reference, I think we've all read things that have referenced or heard about the fact that in China, Asia, elsewhere, gunpowder was invented, the printing press was invented before it got over to the West. There's a bunch of inventions and things like that seem to be particular to Europe's Enlightenment that somehow and for some reason happened earlier in Asia, but then didn't sort of like make its way over to Europe. I know nothing about that. I have no idea why that phenomenon exists, why China got there first. In some cases, I feel even embarrassed talking about it right now because I can't quite put it into words, but I have picked up in some of the things that I've read about the Enlightenment, which is another thing that I really love to read about, this phenomenon and references to the fact that Europe was not the first to innovate in a lot of ways that it innovated during the Enlightenment, and that other places got there first. And then naturally the question is, well, what happened? So if this book sheds some light on that and talks about that, then I will definitely sing its praises and be very grateful to it. So that's it. We've got a nice pile of books here, and I hope that this makes up for the lack of a video on Thursday. I hope that nobody takes this as an assault, but I think that this is a pretty great book haul. I'm not going to lie. It makes me very excited. Let's get a nice shot of it. Oh my goodness. There we go. All right, that's it for me on this Saturday video. Take care.